Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome to Gemini season. We have a Gemini new moon that we're going to be talking about today. This is probably going to be a powerful lunar cycle. The new moon in Gemini is happening in a tight trine to Pluto in the sign of Aquarius, who is currently retrograding. This is definitely going to add a level of depth and like penetrating insight into what is normally a pretty like light, flighty, airy Gemini energy. Aside from that though, this is going to be, I think, a very like Gemini themed Gemini lunar cycle, Gemini season. Of course, we're in Gemini season, so that's always when the Gemini energy is the most prominent. But we have a lot of markers going on right now that are like really emphasizing the Gemini energy heavy during this lunar cycle and present for our new moon. In fact, the new moon is actually in a conjunction to Mercury, who rules the sign of Gemini, who is also in the sign of Gemini. We currently have Jupiter, this very expansive force, also located in the sign of Gemini right now, and also the fact that Pluto is in a trine to both Mercury ruling Gemini, ruling our Gemini season, and the new moon in Gemini. That of course is like really cranking up the power associated with the Gemini themes that are likely to be expressing themselves. So we got a potent Gemini season coming at us, you guys. And I do think the way that this is lining up, we are probably going to see some things unearthed with this, some things being brought up from the depths somehow. Even the degree placement and the Sabian symbol that is associated with the location of our Gemini new moon this year, which, hold on, I should actually backtrack and give you guys the just standard basic data of our chart, the way that the new moon is lining up. It is happening overnight, really. Well, depending where in the world you are, it's happening between May 26th and May 27th, and it's occurring at 3:02 Universal Time on the 27th, which translates into 11:02 p.m. Eastern Time, where I am on the 26th. So late at night on the 26th, early in the AM hours on the 27th, depending where you are. And it's also happening at exactly 6 degrees 5 minutes of the sign of Gemini. So in terms of the symbolic degree placement, we're going to round up a degree. Whenever we read the symbols associated with the planetary degree placements, we always round up, because energy moves in waves, right? And we look at the wave of energy that is pulling in, that is beginning to manifest, that is growing, that is building. We don't look at the wave of energy that has been and that is like waning out and dissipating. So considering that this alignment is occurring at 6 degrees 5 minutes of Gemini, we're going to be looking at the 7th degree of the sign of Gemini in terms of the Sabian symbol, symbolic degree placement. And that Sabian symbol happens to be a well with a bucket and rope under the shade of majestic trees. So just on surface face value right there, before going deeper into the report, which is kind of I feel like that's sort of the way that energy is expressing this Gemini season as well. Gemini energy can have a tendency to just be kind of more on the surface of things, but with the trine to Pluto from the sun and the moon, and also Mercury ruling the new moon cycle in the conjunction together for our new moon and in the trine to Pluto, things might start on the surface, but they're gonna go deep. We're gonna, you know, drill down and see what comes up. And the fact that that's the Sabian symbol where this alignment is occurring, I feel like is very relevant in consideration of just the dynamic of the transits that are playing out alongside our new moon as well. So there's that, I think. And this is Gemini, okay? This is Mercury. Mercury is the ruler of the sign of Gemini. Mercury is the messenger planet. This has everything to do with ideas, messages, communication, information, what we're thinking about. And Gemini also is like what we're learning, what we're understanding. In the trine to Pluto, you guys, and with the fact that Mercury's right there as well, there is going to likely be something very transformative in the context of information, what we're learning, what we're talking about. A lot of information, I think, could be exposed this cycle that alters the course and trajectory of things, situations, events as well. Gemini is a sign that is very changeable. This is mutable energy. It's all about transitions. It's all about adaptation. adapting. It's about things flowing from one state to another. Jupiter, this is another important dynamic associated with the layout of our chart right now and our overall energy pattern. Jupiter is currently in the sign of Gemini as well. Jupiter expands things. Jupiter is its blessings, its wisdom, but it's also truth. And Jupiter happens to be at a pretty tight square with the north and the south node of the moon, the destiny and karma points, as this new moon comes into fruition as well. This is telling me that whatever's being unearthed, whatever's being uncovered, whatever like mysteries are being solved this cycle, whatever we're learning in those regards is somehow directly related to some like fated path of growth or expansion right now. And also on the back end of that, helping us to release something that may have been like limiting us or blocking us or restricting our ability to grow or move forward in the past. There is some type of restriction that is being like overcome or removed as a result of something that we're learning, and that thing that we're learning is likely, you know, either to have been something that has been repressed, hidden, covered up somehow, or that we just were unaware of, or it could also really have to do with like the subconscious mind. We're going to be talking about that as we move through the report as well. But there's also, I want to bring up before we really dive into things, this emphasis on relationship connections and dynamics that is still very present for our Gemini new moon and seemingly throughout the course of our Gemini season. Now, of course, Gemini is the sign of the twins. This does have to do with counterparts and like mirror images, like attracting like, and also polar oppositions. But we have had Mars and Venus. If you guys have been following the astrology, you know Mars and Venus have been in a trine together for a couple of weeks now. You know, it was a building trine, and then it was exact for a few days, and now we're in the waning trine. But Venus is in Aries and Mars is in Leo. So we have this fire sign trine that is still standing strong, only 2 degrees apart. Mars is at 18 degrees of Leo, Venus is at 20 degrees of Aries. So we've only got a 2-degree orb between the trine connection of these planets, and it is another one of these defining transits of both the day when we have this new moon occurring and also this upcoming 4 weeks that this lunar cycle represents. Remember, new moon energy is like the blueprint for the next 4 weeks that will unfold as the sun transits through whatever sign is represented through that new moon cycle. We have the sun and the moon coming together in the sign of Gemini. That represents our Gemini season this year. When we have the full moon in Sagittarius, that will be the midpoint of our Gemini season, and the 2 weeks following that will conclude our Gemini season. So whatever energy is present in any given new moon chart is kind of like the natal chart for that lunar cycle. So by taking a good look and understanding the energy present, therefore, for our new moon in Gemini, we get an idea of where this month is likely to be taking us. And so we've got the emphasis, and right now I'm just kind of giving you guys like the general themes that I feel like are coming through here, and then I'm going to go into each one of these transits more specifically and talk about some of the ways that that particular energy could be manifesting itself in our individual lives and on the world stage. That's my rundown for the report. So we've got the transformative mental energy dynamic component of things. It's going to do a lot of other things we'll talk about in a minute. We've got the strange relationship situation going on. Not only are Venus and Mars in this fire sign trine together, but we also have some very specific symbolism coming through that is, I think, kind of emphasizing, specifically emphasizing that Venus-Mars situation. Of course, Venus and Mars in a trine in fire signs, this is a very fertile creative energy. Following your heart, pursuing your desires, having the like courage and motivation to go after what you want. And again, like we will be talking more about that and how it kind of plays into everything as we move through the report today. Also, remember, we have the Saturn-Neptune dynamic going on. That is an energy that we're going to be in for a while. Saturn just on Sunday finished a 30-year cycle, transit around the entire zodiac, entered the sign of Aries, 0 degrees of Aries, beginning a new 30-year transit around the whole zodiac. But Neptune is at 1 degree of Aries right now. So we've got a Saturn-Neptune conjunction. This could really be bringing breakdowns in systems and structures and the ways that things have always been done. Very, very transitional energy, and things could kind of be a bit all over the place. This is likely to be a very busy yet unstructured cycle that we're moving through, and we will get more into all of that. But I do think we're going to be going deep with whatever it is, whatever is on our mind, whatever we're learning about, whatever we're focused on, whatever we're talking about throughout the course of this cycle. This is not going to be a cycle, even though it's a Gemini cycle, where we are really too much engaging in like the surface level small talk. I think that things are probably going to take a plunge real quick. Like, this is not a puddle, this is a well, right? We have the Sabian symbol, a actual well with a bucket and rope under the shade of majestic trees. So could be a bit of an extreme Gemini season. If you've been waiting on the release of some information, this is probably going to be when you're going to get it. If you've been waiting to like learn something, find something out, for some type of like truth to be exposed somehow, probably sometime around the Gemini new moon or throughout the course of this lunar cycle. With the Pluto trine, you guys, that is like X-ray vision. That is this penetrating insight that is just being mentally oriented towards getting to the root of things. Like, we're just going to be looking for it. We're going to be seeing patterns, seeing the complexities, mentally wired to like search and seek out like what has been hidden, find the truth. Jupiter in the sign of Gemini, representing the truth, expanding this Gemini energy. Mercury ruling the sign of Gemini right there with the moon and the sun for our new moon in Gemini, emphasizing the mental orientation of this energy and in a very tight trine. Mercury is at 2 degrees of Gemini for our new moon, and Pluto is at 3 degrees of the sign of Aquarius. So this is a very, very tight trine happening between the ruler of our lunar cycle right now, the messenger planet, and Pluto, the lord of the underworld. Like, this is literally, you know, Hermes going to the underworld to get some type of information and bring it back, and that is going to be very transformative. I think Pluto is also, I mean, it's purge, regeneration, transformation. It rules power in all of its forms, so there's just likely to be some very powerful revelations that we get from seeking out something in the darkness, finding something out. That Jupiter also in the sign of Gemini, square the nodes, is like altering the course of something somehow for the better. Jupiter is in detriment in the sign of Gemini. Jupiter does not always operate to his like full potential and extent and glory when in the sign of Gemini. But in this context, I do think that, you know, it could be ugly truths, okay, that we're finding out about, but with the square to the nodes, it's going to help us grow somehow. Whatever we're learning, even if it's not maybe what we would want to be learning, it is going to help us let go of something, move on from something, release ourselves from something, and go in a more productive direction. So, secrets, hidden things being exposed, released, reported on as well. This is also all about the media, okay? Coming to light, powerful news and information with Jupiter there also in the sign of Gemini. This is blowing up whatever it is that's coming out. Whatever truth bombs find their way to the surface here, it is expanding the influence of that message, and it's like spreading it far and wide. Jupiter brings truth, Jupiter brings expansion. In the sign of Gemini, this is in the context of information, and in the square to the nodes, this is information, learning, truth, realization, and understanding that marks some type of karmic turning point, leading to growth, leading to expansion. It's an extreme mental energy, super potent mental energy that we've got going on this Gemini season. But with that trine to Pluto also retrograde. And this is another element of things that could be very just like prominent in a collective way. in terms of like the collective conversation where we're just more geared and oriented right now, and like the themes that emerge over this point in time. But I do think things having to do with the subconscious mind and the power that it has over what we create in our reality, that could be honestly like a dimension of what is exposed or something along those lines, or what we learn about or what we're studying or something like that right now, that could have quite a transformative impact on the way that we're thinking and how we are, like our mental frame on reality. Something to do with the deeper recesses of our mind with that Pluto energy hitting both Mercury and the Gemini new moon. Also, this subconscious mind or subconscious programming giving us an opportunity to more deeply analyze our own thought patterns. Mercury and Gemini also represent the patterning that exists within our thoughts and our mind and our conscious mind specifically. Mercury is more so like what's at the forefront of our mind, and that Pluto energy is connecting that trine facilitates things. It's like giving us a cosmic boost in terms of our ability to gain some of that deeper insight into what's been going on in like the depths of our mind that we don't normally have access to consciously. So we kind of have this like tunnel that is opened up between the conscious and the subconscious or the unconscious, and it's giving us an opportunity to actually like reconfigure some of that, the Pluto energy, like make some transformation. We have an ability literally to like reprogram our subconscious mind throughout the course of this month that helps us to like get out of our own way and set ourselves up for success really moving forward. There can be some very powerful mental transformations that can come about if we are able to gain a greater awareness of our thought patterning, of our subconscious mind and programming, and how it's been impacting our conscious reality essentially. So if you are looking for an interesting topic to study throughout the course of the next couple of weeks, I would recommend some type of like depth psychology or like diving into things having to do with the subconscious mind, subconscious programming, the power of the mind when it operates from a more unconscious or subconscious level. That type of stuff could be very revealing and very transformative, and actually perhaps help you solve a lot of your own problems. This is also a very, very corrective period of time. Remember, Uranus is actually still in a trine to the South Node, which is this highly awakening and corrective influence that is supporting all of this in the background as we go through this period of time. So that's one of my recommendations. Learn about the power of the subconscious mind and watch it change your life over the course of this next couple of weeks. This energy promotes our ability, as I said earlier, to be like psychic detectives in terms of just like getting to the root of things, figuring out the inner workings of whatever has been going on back there, and being able to bring it more to the forefront, bring it to the surface layer in order to access it, purge it, regenerate it, and clear it out. Like that's all the Mercury, Gemini, and Pluto themes put together. And remember, Pluto's also in the sign of Aquarius right now. So whatever upgrades we are able to make in this regard, it's going to bring us into a greater alignment with like our authentic purpose and our authentic potential. And again, with that Jupiter square to the nodes, this could be like unlocking a path to growth and expansion that we may have been blocked, limited, or cut off from as a result from the way our mind had been working, or, you know, again, like our subconscious situations or our thought patterns and stuff like that up until this specific period of time. So I do recommend using this energy in that capacity. Could be very regenerative, very productive, and like really help us make some breakthroughs moving forward. This energy gives us access to deeper truth, and it's going to make it very, very difficult to the truth of things as well. It is bringing truth to light, and that truth with Jupiter representing truth in a square to the nodes of the moon, destiny and karma, it is going to alter and change the trajectory of things, situations, events. I would also, as I mentioned earlier, expect this greater just like public dialogue regarding things along these lines. This depth psychology, the subconscious dynamic of things, and shadow work also could be something that people are just more generally gaining an awareness of and talking about throughout the course of this cycle. We could also see a lot of headlines and narratives regarding or, having to do with things that are suddenly being found out that nobody knew about, that's been hidden for long times, secrets being revealed. Also, Pluto in the sign of Aquarius, you guys, things to do with science, technology, innovation, AI, also communication technology, and I think most specifically perhaps things to do with like space or space travel or air travel could be emerging and relevant themes right now. We may see or hear, or there may be announcements regarding major changes or renovations or updates or deals having to do with specifically, I think, like air travel, the airline industry, airplanes generally, technology, fuel, and power sources related to travel or air travel, the power of the air or in the air or through the air, lightning, electricity, the ether. These could all be things that for some reason are highlighted as we move through this day and this upcoming 4 weeks. Also, there could be maybe like some type of new communication tools or again, like power sources or technology being revealed, being released somehow. Wouldn't be surprised if there were releases of new technologies that come out over this period of time with the way that that setup is coming together for us right now. Gemini, you guys, also rules negotiating, debates, like the wheeling and dealing type of energy. And I think with Pluto in a trine to Mercury and Pluto retrograde also in the sign of Aquarius, in an air sign trine to Mercury conjunct the new moon in the sign of Gemini, big, powerful, transformative deals, negotiations, and partnerships could take place this cycle. Because Pluto is retrograde, I think these are primarily going to be quite like regenerative and corrective in nature, like solving past problems that had just maybe been festering and like getting worse and worse. But now we are seeing it, uncovering it, getting to the root of the problem, and like figuring out some type of innovative solution or collaborative effort or deal or negotiation to try to solve that problem somehow. Pluto can represent things having to do with true wealth, riches, and like genuine authentic value. Pluto's the lord of the underworld. Where are the gemstones and the minerals and gold and silver, the precious metals formed and held within the depths of the earth? This is Pluto's domain. So, when we're talking about like the genuine true worth and wealth and value of things, this can often fall into Pluto's domain. And in consideration of that and all of this Gemini back and forth, let's make a deal type of energy, I wouldn't be surprised if we see powerful people making big deals that alter the course of history and lead to some type of expansion, progress, and growth and truth, even somehow on a macrocosm world stage level. As we move through this period of time, it is a good time also. And here's another thing that you may want to learn about or study throughout the course of this next couple of weeks. Again, this is a really, really good time to learn something new, to study something, to dive into some type of like deep or complex or occult information. It's gonna just enrich you somehow, literally. Again, the richness associated with what we're learning and what is coming together this Gemini cycle and season. Studying negotiation, studying deal making. To me, this chart suggests it may benefit us in the future to have such knowledge. For some reason, Jupiter squaring the nodes, again, like some richness or depth in knowledge in that regard could just be beneficial to us moving into the future for some reason that is like unforeseen at this moment. So studying depth psychology, the subconscious mind, also like occult studies and stuff like that, really like diving into some of that stuff, like hidden knowledge, ancient knowledge, super supported in this. Also studying, as the deal and negotiation end of things here. Anything along those lines is likely to have some type of transformative and expansive impact on our mind and therefore on our lives as we move through this window period of time. Another good way to use this energy, you guys, this is a cycle. This is a 4-week period about taking out the trash. Also, Gemini, Mercury, there's a very active energy, very busy energy. It's about handling like all of the little things. And if there has been like a cleaning or an organization project that you've sort of been like putting off, not wanting to think about, with the trine to Pluto, you guys, like this is the time to tackle that. This is the time to get it done. Clean the garage, purge the closet, organize the paperwork, like clean out dresser drawers and like under the bed and stuff like that. Like get into the places that light doesn't often shine and, clear it out, air it out, fix it. This is definitely a supported energy, and we are supported in our efforts and endeavors to do such things as we move through this period of time as well. I do think, and people are just going to be like spontaneously doing it. Don't be surprised if people tell you that they just purged their closet, or they are just like very obsessed with cleaning something out. Renovations also, any type of like breaking something down to fix it and make it better, all over the blueprint of this energy. And I do think that when we exit this Gemini season, we will probably generally feel a bit more organized, informed, aware, put together, perhaps even somewhat revolutionized or like upgraded in maybe one area of our lives, or maybe it's just like some type of total overhaul that we're doing right now, organizing maybe our entire like schedule and stuff like that as well. Great way to use this energy. But now we have to transition slightly and talk about the Saturn situation that we also have going on, that is very impactful, that is very present throughout the course of this Gemini cycle. Remember, like a day and a half before this new moon comes together, Saturn has made this huge move, ended his transit around the entire zodiac, which took like 30 years, started in 1996, and is beginning a new 30-year cycle transit around the entire zodiac. Again, that ended this past Saturday. Saturn moved into Aries on Sunday, starting a new cycle. But the thing is about this Saturn transit, as we know, Neptune right now is at 1 degree of the sign of Aries. And so we've got this Saturn-Neptune conjunction happening real tight. Saturn's at 0, Neptune's at 1 of the sign of Aries. This is going to have a variety of impacts that I just kind of want to address and spell out for you guys, that are another kind of just, I would say, like background dynamic that, or undercurrent sort of, that is like flowing under the surface of whatever we're learning about, or we're finding out about, or we're gaining an awareness of, however that Mercury-Pluto energy is expressing itself in our lives, there is this undercurrent of the Saturn-Neptune energy that is likely to be expressing in, as I said, a variety of ways as well. Number one, this is a very, very fantastic manifestation energy in the higher octaves that it, makes available to us. I talked a lot about this in my last video. Neptune, this is the vision, this is the mind's eye, this is the ethereal plane. This is where we, align our desires, our vision, our inspiration, our ideals with Saturn, the physical 3D form, structure, foundation, reality. When we have these two planets in a combination together, one of the impacts can be a fusion of the vision with the form in a way that helps us translate our higher ideals, our visions, our dreams into physical, tangible reality. And again, I talked a lot more about that in my last video. So if you want to hear more about that, that's where you'll find more information about that. But that is definitely an element and a dynamic that is associated with this blueprint that's playing out for our Gemini new moon cycle. So, you know, if we are leaning into that end of the Neptune Saturn energy in combination with this Pluto Mercury energy, we really do have a very strongly supported like cosmic window right now to alter our subconscious mind in a way that genuinely helps us to manifest our like higher desires in the physical world. We have an ability to like consciously create our reality if we are utilizing and operating and aligning with the higher octave potential of all this energy that's coming together right now. So I do think there is a segment of, you know, the population of people that are going to be just doing some really almost like magical things in terms of their process of manifestation, expansion, and growth as we move forward through this cycle and throughout the rest of this year. Now, another way that this energy can manifest is the breakdown in that which Saturn represents. Neptune, this is the lord of the seas. This is energy that erodes things. It washes them away. It dissipates. It dissolves. And Saturn is structure. Saturn is form. Saturn is boundaries. Saturn is authority, tradition, convention, rules, regulations. Okay, so when these two planets come together, another way this energy can manifest is the breakdown, the dissolving, the dissipation, the like spreading out and floating away of that which used to contain things, that which used to hold them up, the frameworks of Neptune is also our beliefs. Like there could be an erosion of beliefs, there could be somewhat of a crisis of faith that's going on, and we are likely to see various elements that have represented essentially like the foundations, the pillars, the systems that have structured our reality begin to crumble, begin to fall apart somehow. This is washing away old orders, rules, traditions, beliefs, disciplines, and authority figures that have essentially like maintained the structure of our reality up until this point in time, but are no longer aligned with where we're going as we move forward through this paradigm shift and transition into the age of Aquarius, which we talk about so frequently on this channel. This could also be impacting like the arts. That's another way that this Neptune Saturn energy could come together. It could have to, because Neptune has to do with like divine inspiration and how we translate that into physical like art and music and beauty. So with Saturn there, this could also be restructuring the expression of divine inspiration by way of the medium of like various arts and stuff. I think that we could really see a change in the way that or in what we're gravitating towards and what we find beautiful and what we are considering like expressions of art and artistry moving forward. I mean, both Saturn and Neptune are beginning a new cycle around the entire zodiac, which could usher in, okay, sort of like a restructuring of that energy. Okay, so there's that. Now, another way that this energy could manifest itself, Neptune and Saturn coming together, this could present as an abandonment of duty and responsibility. Neptune breaks things down. It is where we kind of detach from the physical and from what's real in preference of the imagination and the dream world. And Saturn, of course, is duty, responsibility, obligation, maturity. So there could be a distancing from these types of things while we have this energy present and these two planets in a conjunction, running away from pressure, running away from obligations, breakdowns also going on in like self-discipline and self-control. People could just feel like they're letting themselves go completely while we have these two planets together, choosing to escape or avoid the pressures of the world through disassociation, detachment, escapism, drugs and alcohol, or even choosing to like consciously making the choice to exit the earth plane. This is something that we could see go on more prominently as we have these two planets together. Generally feeling lost, though. That could be kind of a collective sentiment that we experience while these two planets are in a conjunction. The fourth thing that I have listed here is an erosion of the control of government, big business, and corporate interests. Saturn and Neptune. Saturn does represent all of the big interests or big industries, corporatism, and of course government and authority. With Neptune there, this is some type of erosion or dissipation of the control that like these situations are able to exert. So there's that. The next thing could be a delusional projection of force, control, violence, or discipline. I talked about this in my last video as well. Because Saturn is with Neptune, right? Saturn is control, Saturn is limitation, Saturn is boundaries, Saturn is like when we have all the ducks in the row, and Neptune is herding cats. Neptune is having no ducks in a row, you know, being in kind of la la land, feeling out of control. This is a breakdown, a dissipation, a dissolving of control. Saturn and Neptune coming together. So, you know, when you're in a place or a position of authority and you feel out of control within yourself, the first kind of subconscious reaction that is going to occur in most cases is the exertion of force externally. When we don't feel in control internally, but we're not conscious of that, people seek to project control externally to try to regain that feeling of control, okay? And with Saturn there, it could be like very authoritative, very brute force. Neptune is also like being in a state of fantasy or illusion or delusion. And for that reason, it could, you know, in some circumstances be this like very delusional and ruthless exertion of control as a projection of feeling out of control inwardly, but being in a place of authority where you expect to be in control. And, you know, you're not in control, so you're just like applying more and more and more force and pressure to a point of just, I don't know, like unbelievable or like extreme like cruelty or abuse or violence. Okay, so there could be things that come up now and then that represent those qualities as well while we have these planets together. Lastly, this is also, I mean, Saturn is authority. Neptune is the connection to like the spirit world or a higher power, and it has to do with beliefs. This is also a period of time where I wouldn't be surprised if there are like some prominent spiritual figures that rise to a level of, I don't know, like significance or fame somehow. This could also be like motivating or inspiring or just I don't know, like cults and cult leaders and stuff like that. People are likely, again, like feeling out of control, not knowing what's going on, crises of faith perhaps, the previous frameworks of everything breaking down, feeling out of control inwardly, seeking some type of authority because the things that have represented authority in the past are just no longer there for some reason. And people could be like seeking out essentially like someone to tell them what to do, what to believe, craving support, craving structure, craving guidance. And with Saturn and Neptune together, this is like, you know, blood in the water for people who like lean into the like cult leader type of tendencies. So be careful what you're buying into, you guys. Be careful what you're believing, what you're following, who you're giving your power to. This is a period of time actually about becoming our own leader, becoming like the personal authority. The authority externally is breaking down because we actually need to become more of that ourselves and stop looking outwardly for someone to tell us what to do. Like we're gonna, as actually we move throughout the course of this next year and get into May of 2026, when Saturn and Neptune finally separate significantly in their conjunction and Saturn really gets to begin the actual transit of the sign of Aries, like not being influenced by that Neptunian energy. That is when we are going to just inherently step into this place of of like personal authority, like being the boss in our own lives, you know, being the commander of our own ship, being much more self-directed in like our pursuit and progress of things. But up until that period of time, it's really about learning how to be more in control of ourselves. But as we, you know, move into the introductory phases of this process, and again, like the support systems or the frameworks or the foundations or the rules that we've always followed, or, you know, whatever it is, begins to break down, and we realize, you know, maybe we're more on our own than we thought we were, there is going to be a segment of people that are, you know, kind of like compelled to continue to look and to reach for that outside of themselves. Whereas the real lesson here, as I've stated, is to learn how to be more autonomous in that regard, and to, you know, set the rules, set the standards, set the boundaries, set the limitations for what is in our best interest in the context of our own growth and our own pursuit towards our goals and stuff like that for ourselves. But, you know, going through that learning curve, people are going to be reaching out for something to help them along. So just be careful that you're not falling prey to someone who is trying to take advantage of that, like, enhanced energetic opportunity right now, because it is. Okay, so all of those things, and I'm, you know, there's definitely probably more that I'm missing, but those are some of the potential expressions and, you know, octaves that this energy could manifest along. And this Saturn Neptune energy, you know, as I've said, is going to be kind of like this backdrop that we're just gonna be dealing with, gonna be moving through until May of next year, when Saturn does finally, you know, conjunct Neptune again and move beyond an orb that would really be influencing his transit through the rest of the sign of Aries. So there's that dimension of things. Really, though, if you think about it on a higher level, these two things fit together quite nicely in our greater cosmic transition into the age of Aquarius, which is also the larger undercurrent or backdrop that is holding strong as we move through these other transits and energies that are coming and going right now. Dissolving past structures, right? Saturn and Neptune together. This is the dissolving of the past, the foundations, the way things have been, the history that have stabilized our reality, while we, on the other hand, right, this Mercury, Gemini, new moon, trining Pluto, retrograde energy, like while we discover the true inner workings of things, change, regenerations, upgrades to these systems to produce more authentic, valuable, productive results that support growth in a new direction. This is a cosmic upgrade, you guys. You know, the more we move into this energy, the more I do these reports lately, the more I'm exposed, and therefore you're exposed to these patterns that just continue to repeat and repeat and repeat. It's very, very clear, like, although we're uncovering mysteries, although we're gaining penetrating insight, although we have X-ray vision this cycle, we honestly really don't even need it to understand like the game plan that is operating right here. The past is dissolving, how things have been done historically, the precedents are breaking down, patterns are shifting, and what we're finding out is going to change us fundamentally in ways that detaches us from that energy even more, as we are being like cosmically carried right now through the shift and transition of ages that requires us to, you know, make these alterations to our own energy bodies in reflection of these energies that are coming in right now too, to help to anchor these new frequencies and this new age to our planet that is going to be building and coming in and defining the next 2,000 years. And right now we're going through a Pluto Aquarius transit as well. That's a very powerful transition point in this regard as well. This next 20 years is going to bring this age of Aquarius energy to the forefront, I think, of our like actual real life experience in a way that makes it very known that like something has changed and that like we're just not in the same world that we used to be back in, you know, the 2020s before Pluto entered the sign of Aquarius. So all of that, you guys, we are definitely being cosmically supported in making some very serious, both personal and like macrocosm world stage type of upgrades right now that are going to remove blockages to growth, restore authentic value, and support our ability to step into like a more authentic purpose or like higher calling for this next phase of life that is coming in right now. As I said earlier, you know, Uranus, the galactic fixer, the great rectifier, ruling this age of Aquarius, also still in a trine to the nodes. This is an energy we've been talking about for a while now. I feel like more karmic release indicated here, right? Systemic change for the purpose of correcting things. Another super, super, super corrective new moon cycle. The new moon in Mercury trining Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, that's a corrective influence. That is, as I said, you know, that's taking out the trash. That's cleaning out the closet. That's looking under the hood, figuring out what's causing the problems, learning how to fix it, and doing that in a way that like helps us to move forward somehow. And then that Uranian south node trine also, this is helping us to make alterations to like, again, like the way that we're doing things, our day-to-day lives, our patterns, our habits, our routines that are of a very corrective nature, and also removing blockages to growth and helping us to like get into a greater alignment with wherever universe is nudging us towards right now. Lastly, I want to go back and talk for a minute about this Venus and Mars and fire sign trine that's going on. This is another relevant energy. How do we know that, Aubrey? Well, because it's there and it's present, but also, I mean, Venus and Mars, right? That's the masculine and the feminine dynamic in a facilitating, like very supported flow of energy together. It's a very creative, fertile, conception-oriented energy. This is magnetically attractive, counterparts being drawn together during Gemini season, the sign of the twins, also having to do with like divine alignments, divine counterparts, polar oppositions as well. But I do think that there is this magnetic force pulling things together that are meant to be together for some necessary, authentic, supportive purpose. At this point in time, been talking about this, but listen to the symbols, you guys, that we also have accompanying our new moon in association with this Venus-Mars trine that we have going on right now. We have the position of the Earth, which is always in a polar opposition to the sun. So actually the polarity point to our new moon is 7 degrees of Sagittarius in terms of the Sabian symbol placement. That Sabian symbol is Cupid knocking on the door of a human heart. And then we still have Uranus, right? This corrective force, the galactic fixer, putting things right, the future where we're going next. At 28 degrees of Taurus, that Sabian symbol is a woman pursued by mature romance. While Venus and Mars are in this trine together, Venus in the sign of Aries, all about pursuing your desires. Venus in a trine to Mars, this is also like passions ignited, going after what you want. If there's ever been a time to follow your heart, you guys, this is it, okay? Pursue your passions, follow your heart, maybe take a bit of a risk, put yourself out there, go after what you want. This is the time. Energetically, it's indicated that this would be a very good time to do that. This ignites the pursuit of passion. This ignites creativity. And the fact that we have literally the position of the Earth, Cupid knocking at the door of a human heart, and Uranus also, which is a very influential planet right now at the woman pursued by mature romance, okay? Venus and Mars in trine in fire signs. This is a season of creativity. This is a season of fertility. This is a season of well, yes, we know corrections, but connections, attraction, authentic and divine alignments, proper pairings coming together, following your heart. And also, you guys, this is a woman pursued by mature romance, okay? This is being able to see things for what they truly are. Remember the whole truth element that is, you know, involved in all of this as well. Choosing growth. Jupiter in the sign of Gemini. Gemini is a sign all about choices and decisions and options and alternatives. And I've got all of these things. Which one am I going to pick? What am I going to do? Jupiter there, this is choosing growth. This is choosing wisdom. This is choosing truth. This is choosing expansion. In the trine to Pluto, this is choosing to see things for what they really are, not avoiding the ugly truths, okay? Not hiding from the reality of a situation, all right? But rather using whatever it is we learn to guide our choices in the right direction, okay, moving forward. This is also about, in that same regard, essentially not allowing ourselves to fall back into old patterns and old habits that have controlled us in the past. Uranus trine the South Node, some type of perhaps awakening that is allowing us to break these karmic loops, break these habits, break these attachments that have been keeping us connected maybe to or attached to things that had been blocking our growth or just like holding us back somehow. Not anymore. We are not going back, you guys. Saturn has ended that 30-year cycle. We are going forward. Eyes on the prize. Huge manifestation energy right now. Change your mind. Change your life. This is all about changing or transforming our own self-concept, okay? Thinking outside of the box, not allowing ourselves to be held back from whatever conditioning, mental conditioning, emotional conditioning, thought, again, like thought conditioning, thought patterns that perhaps had been limiting influences in terms of our perception of what was possible for us in the past. Not anymore. We have got to, as we move forward through this energy, begin to expand our mind, expand our purview is what is possible for ourselves, open up to unexpected potential, unexpected possibilities, unexpected opportunities that actually are seeking us. We need to reach for more, okay? And this is, again, a really great time to kind of like get to the root of some of our own issues. The truth will set you free, okay? And we are stepping out of the shadows and things are being brought up from the depths, okay? Things are emerging. We are really honestly entering like a new reality now and moving forward that is much more associated with the light of day than in what is hiding in the shadows. Other symbols associated with our new moon chart as it plays out. I have already told you the position of the sun and the moon at 7 degrees of Gemini. That is a well with a bucket and rope under the shade of majestic trees. We also kind of like along those same lines have Jupiter at 27 degrees of Gemini in the, you know, this other big influence in the sign of Gemini. That Sabian symbol is a gypsy emerging from the forest, out of the shadows and into the light, right? We also have Saturn at 0 degrees with sign of Aries. That Sabian symbol, you guys, is a woman just risen from the sea. A seal is embracing her. Another energy about emerging out of something, like out of the depths, then into the fresh air. Okay, so we have like triple repeating emphasis, backing up what is already, and we're talking about, I mean, this is an air trine. That's all, that's what this is. This is airing things out. Okay, you may be airing things out with somebody. Things could, again, be coming to this surface, seeing the light of day that have been in the dark or been in the shadows for a long period of time. All type of stuff like along those lines is what we're talking about. And then lastly, we have the North Node at 25 degrees of Pisces. Highly relevant symbolism right now. That is the purging of the priesthood. That to me combines the efforts of the new moon and Mercury trining Pluto retrograde, and also Saturn and Neptune in the sign of Pisces, and also Jupiter squaring the nodes right now, and also Uranus in aspect to the nodes as well. So this, my friends, is a season for embracing change. And I think that's what we're going to have to learn to do, whether we want to or not, moving forward. So that's what I have to say, you guys. That's how I feel about our Gemini lunar cycle as it's coming together for us today. Probably going to be a very busy cycle, but you know, again, like this emphasis on the depths and what's coming up and what's coming out and how that changes things. Let's get a synchronicity card now. I'm going to ask God, Spirit, Universe for a final piece of guidance or advice. What do we need to know? What should we keep in mind? It says forgive. So there it is, you guys. This is so funny. Okay, it's done. The synchronicity cards have done it again. Listen to what this says. Be not afraid for the pestilence that walketh in darkness. Psalms 91. You are in the dark when you indulge in depression, feeling sorry for yourself, anger, or ill will. When you condemn yourself or others, these are pestilences of the darkness. Anger towards others reflects your emotionally charged state. You violate the law of harmony and it will bring you trouble. Forgive yourself and others and hail God in your midst to heal your anger. Pray, thank you, God, for removing my anger. So there it is, you guys. We are walking out of the darkness, walking into the light, and forgiveness could be a very beneficial tool in our journey in that regard, okay, over the course of this next couple of weeks. I was talking about this actually in one of my last videos. As we know, this period of time right now has a lot to do with karmic release, letting go, moving on, and like fundamentally changing the way that we're thinking about things. And if we are still holding on, right, to ways that we've been hurt or harmed or victimized or, you know, wounded or wronged in the past, there's no way that we can move forward into this new energy. Like those things right there, exactly like this card says, those are pestilences of the darkness. Like those are the very blockages to growth that may have been like impeding our ability to become what, you know, God, Great Spirit, Universe, or, you know, even our own soul has always had in store for us. This also is making me think, you know, of the whole subconscious programming dynamic and dimension of things. Learning about the power of forgiveness and what it actually does to release us energetically from karmic patterns of wounding, of pain, of trauma that maybe we have been caught in for a very long period of time. Sometimes actually, as like counterintuitive as it sounds, forgiveness and our ability to release ourselves from the, you know, negative feelings associated with, you know, whatever may have happened to us, it can be one of the most empowering and liberating things that we can do to detach ourselves from that type of experience and take back conscious control of the way that things are gonna, you know, work out for us and the way that our life is gonna unfold going forward. So it makes sense that this would be our card to me. And again, like the shadow side issues, our subconscious programming, maybe some of the issues that we've been holding on to without realizing it that have been keeping us, you know, held back or contained or caught in certain behaviors or ways of relating with others or ourselves. Like this is all the exact type of stuff that is indicated to be, on one hand, being, you know, discovered, gained an awareness of, and also broken down, and our, you know, ability to be released from that as well as we move through the period of time. So forgiveness, you guys, is probably going to be like a magic wand if we're able to implement it properly. That really helps us like get on course to creating the life that we really want to be living now and moving forward. So that's what I have to say today, you guys. That is how I feel about the nature of energy as it's coming together for us this cycle, and our synchronicity card to support the message. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, you guys, share it with your friends if you also think that they would enjoy this type of astrology content. I am so grateful for your presence on my channel. I really super like love and appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here. If you are having experiences that line up with what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. If you want to know what's on this whiteboard, if you want to see the whole board, I take pictures of it and I post them in a Facebook group that I have linked in my description box below. That's where you can find that. And come back with me on Wednesday, you guys. We have more astrology coming up that we need to talk about this week. We are entering the month of June coming up here, and I'm gonna be back to talk all about it, so you don't want to miss it. You should come too. I will see you on Wednesday. Have a very beautiful new moon in Gemini, and until next time, guys, bye.